Alrighty. You can see me, right? Alright, so if you have no questions for me, it sounds like you're just going to want to try to defend your position. Is that right? Not at all means you have no questions, or it means you have questions. So no questions. Well, if I have a question for you, then were you born in South Africa? Is that where you live today? Okay, so you're not like an American dual citizen or anything, right? Okay, so then the question is, what brought you to to get so involved in internal American politics? Really? Okay, so you don't consider that to be political in any way? Yeah, I get that you hate Gage. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying you don't. Fine, you don't consider. So you don't consider your activity to be political in any way. I just want a yes or no on that. Yes, no. You're saying no. No. Okay. All right. So, all right. I have to ask: are you a Trump supporter or a Trump hater? Because that's a worldwide political issue right now. You're not gonna stay out of that too, right? You're not gonna. Right. Okay. So hater. Right. Yeah. Hater. Well, you're a hater, right? Obviously, obviously, if you're blaming somebody for a cover up and he's president right now, then you're blaming him for being in the cover up, right? Isn't that follow? All right, all right. So you could just right. So you could just exactly. That's what I mean. So you could just be honest and say yes, I'm a Trump hater. Just cut to the chase for me. Okay, fine. You're okay. Okay. So let's clear it up. You are not a Trump hater. You actually don't feel anything personally about the guy at all, aside from what you just said. It's not personal. You're just talking business, and in your business mind, he is basically a fraudster, right? Okay, good, excellent. And for right, and your position over there in South Africa is that you do not consider saying that statement about Trump to be a political statement. That's what you said earlier, right? Thank you. I don't really say it like I have to fight over that. I think these are just terminologies, so you should just either say yes or no early and get to the chase. Otherwise, it's gonna be here all day. So basically, if you think that Trump's a fraudster, then you think that he knows the truth about 9/11, right? He at least is on. Okay, so he's bought out, and the truth has been suppressed, and he's just a puppet. Is that right? I'm yes. I'm trying to. Yes, I'm trying to quantify. Just go ahead and quantify and just tell me what your position is, because you didn't say anything yet. In fact, you're saying a bunch of nothing. What, what, what role does Trump play in 9/11, if any? Is the question. Okay, all right, excellent, excellent, good. No, I'm just wondering because, you had this 9/11 truth movement that's been around for decades now, and you say that they're all wrong, and you don't even know or even have an opinion on like any of these main players in this. You're just saying you don't know. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what you do know. You say a bunch of stuff that you don't know or you're not going to answer. Okay, but I want to know what is your position. For example, predictive programming. Do you believe that predictive programming predicted 9/11 like at all in any way? Yes, no question kind of thing. I didn't see that on your website. Okay, good. So, good. Right? Right? Oh, there's way better examples than that. You got a 1997 DOJ handbook that basically has a crosshair target on the Twin Towers. So it doesn't get more obvious than that. Question to you is, A, it sounds like you do believe in it, you do subscribe to it, couldn't find it anywhere on your website, anywhere. And I'm wondering, no, I couldn't find that article, sorry. Whatever you did, I couldn't find it. Nothing on predictive programming, you're missing that. So send me your article, I want to see what you said on predictive programming, I would love to. Next question on predictive programming, why? Why would they do it? Why would the DOJ handbook say that? Just give me an answer. Why do you think the DOJ handbook had the crosshairs on the Twin Towers? Preparing us for the event, right? But why? And how? And who? And where? And what? That doesn't make any sense. You're going to lose so many people with this kind of circular reasoning. You got to explain why. People want to know why. I know why. You don't know why. And you're not even interested in why. So you're going to lose everyone because you just don't even know why. So that's the main question to you is, why did all that predictive programming predict this event? If you can't even come up with an answer, then I don't think you even have a theory or a hypothesis or even a line of reasoning. You basically have nothing more than an attack on Gage and a couple other people. So I'm still trying to ask the question of what you believe the reason was for 9/11. What the reason was and why you think all that predictive programming predicted it. Grand what? Oh, come on. We are in such a horrible depression. So you're going to lose everyone with that because everyone knows that there was a horrible depression, recession to follow it. It's not called depression, but it should be because it was. So we know that was the result of 9/11. We know our company went into complete ruin. Question is, why? Why did we do it? Do you even know? I know. I've always known because I'm an Israeli citizen. I'm a dual Israeli citizen, American citizen. I'm sorry, but we were the ones that were, kind of like in the know back then, and everyone else was sort of like in the dark. So I'm just surprised at how much you actually don't even want to know or have a venture even as to why any of it happened. You're only interested in debunking the debunk of the debunk. And it's amazing to me because you're not even living in America. You act like over there in South Africa. I mean, what if I came over to your country and started harassing people related to Nelson Mandela and saying, you know what, I think your family was in some sort of cloning conspiracy because all of you people seem to believe in like a worldwide like change or some kind of magical event happening at this point. You guys are so lost, not to mention the whole apartheid and crap. Us in Israel, we're not even willing to admit to apartheid, yet we all agree that South Africa is the apartheid of the world. So I don't even know how you could have been raised in the kind of environment to understand the subtleties of American culture, much less criticize Americans for what they believe happened. I'm telling you that we know what happened. We don't need you to come in and say that the people who basically believed. Yeah, there you go. Oh, excellent. Good, excellent. That's what I wanted you to do, is just ask a question. So, you asked why it happened. Predictive programming says it all. This is an event that's going to happen. Do not react. That's it. That's why they said that. DOJ, don't react. Back to the Future 2, don't react. Matrix, don't react. Fight Club, don't react. That's the message that all of those movies sent, and handbooks and media and Simpsons. Don't react. That's what they're all telling us. When this happens, it's a predictive event. So just don't make it worse by exasperating situation, by falling for essentially some sort of grand globalist conspiracy counter move or something like that. Just don't react. So when 9/11 happened, people basically did not ask why. They were just happy enough to know that it was a planned op, an inside job. That's all they really need to know, and that's why Americans don't really talk about it anymore, because they just want to know, is this part of a good plan or not? Is this a bad plan or a good plan? Good, bad. There's been a lot of false flags in history. Pearl Harbor, obviously, the Gulf of Tonkin incident was not even declassified until 2001. The Holocaust is not a false flag, and I did expect a little bit of anti-Semitism from you today, but guess what? I'm ready for that too. Holocaust really did happen, buddy. So anyway, unless you want to tangent to that topic, I was trying to explain to you why 9/11 happened. Right, yeah, good, yeah. Isn't that a little early to say, since I haven't even answered the question yet? Buddy? Well, why would you just say that then? You didn't hear my answer yet. Why would you keep taunting me if you haven't heard my answer? I mean, what kind of strategy is this? Are you just like here to waste my time? I mean, I basically only have like an hour here, so If it's all going to be just you taunting and me calling you out, then we can just do that if you want, or I can get back to my answer. Do you want to hear the answer, buddy? Okay, good. So, everyone wants to know his inside job. What's the inside job? Well, it's obviously a problem with our CIA, isn't there? I mean, you don't really know anything about this because you probably even visit this country, but I'm just going to fill you in that the CIA is extremely... Sorry. Okay. So, most Americans despise the CIA. It's in a lot of music and stuff. And they think that the CIA, and it's true, is not really part of our government. In fact, it was sort of created all on its own from the OSS using stolen Nazi gold, and this is not a controversy or a conspiracy. This is well-known history. That's how the war ended. The CIA constructed itself and set in motion all kinds of plans. And one of the big plans is they set up a bunch of nuclear power stations in Iran, which is really strange since there was a religious leader in charge, so the Shah. But they gave them those plants and oil pipelines and stuff, and they went and they took all of that nuclear technology and they built it up in mountains and stuff for decades. And then, surprise, surprise, the CIA shows up again in 1979, and they basically overthrow the Shah, who is purposely terrible, banning honey and shit like that just to piss off people. And then, surprise, surprise, the Ayatollah takes over. CIA funds something like $1 million in American propaganda just to boast them up, and got like T-shirts over here and stuff. And people had to swallow that crap. And then right away they realized, wait a second, the Ayatollah is in charge of all that weapon, all those nukes and stuff. And people are like, don't worry, it's not weapons. Like that's a nuclear weapon. Like that's not a weapon. So okay, fine. So there's a lot of confusion about nuclear weapons. Okay, I get that. Depleted uranium is the biggest threat to this world. Always has, always will be. Depleted uranium. It's a completely natural byproduct of a nuclear reactor. So it doesn't matter if they have a fatwa on it or anything else. They are building depleted uranium ammunition and have been since the 50s because it's a byproduct. Now, the problem was that the Ayatollah wasn't anywhere near as stable as the Shah. They were complete radicals, and they said death to Israel for something like 50 years. So you got these people willing to do just about anything. It turns out they had a lot of proxy access, and they're about to deliver one of these depleted uraniums to one of their proxies over and over in history. And it was just stopped, and everyone's so afraid of it. And you're not going to find any of this stuff because you have to read the books, and you have to know the history of the CIA. But most importantly, you have to know the history of the NSA. And the history of the NSA mostly starts in Vietnam, when they were just a subsidiary of the CIA because their hands are tied behind their back at all times. And they were forced to go along with the Gulf of Tonkin II incident, which got us into Vietnam. And Daniel Ellsberg blew the whole thing with the Pentagon Papers, informed the world, and then guess what? It was just all covered up anyway. So the NSA woke up in those years with their realization that they were in a direct fight with the CIA to protect Daniel Ellsberg from going to jail for life, and they got all their allies involved, and they got the Supreme Court involved, and they won a major victory for us here in America. And says, we're going to tell this story even if it's classified. Sorry, guys. It's such a major victory, and nobody really cares, and you can watch the movie if you want. The NSA then continued to have this big concern about what the CIA had just set up in Iran. They just set up these nuclear depleted uranium proxies that are about to basically ship out, and Iraq and so forth, even Cuba could potentially be the endpoints for some of these horrible, horrible weapons. So these weapons have been used in real life, not making it up. You can see what they used in Bosnia and the Yugoslavia war and the horrible effects that happened there. And of course, in Iraq they were used, and they had to dig it all up and move it out of the airport in order to even use that airport later. So my point is that we know about these depleted uranium munitions, even if the public is confused, and we know that Iran was about to release them all. So what was 9/11? Well, 9/11 was this, as they said, when it happened, they basically, all the analysts, if anyone was ever paying attention back then, I'm not sure you were, you would have seen that the major analysts of our time, the intel groups that existed back then, they don't really show up in public anymore. They're pretty much silent now. They basically said, here's what I think's happening. This was a way to get America into the war on terror about 30 to 50 years earlier than it would have finally hit us. Because if you look at the East, you see how Islam had just been spreading throughout the whole region, into Russia, into Asia, into everywhere. Islam is just spreading. And it's just a matter of time as for that those Sunnis and breakaway Shiites would get the Shiite depleted uranium. It's just a matter of time. So Iran was the target of 9/11. That should be obvious to anyone paying attention to the details, Iranian passports and so forth. And the whole thing about Afghanistan, well, that was sort of the CIA's reaction to 9/11. They were trying to exploit themselves, just like they made 3,000 people disappear in that building when nobody died. I met a person that came out of that building on an Israeli Ulpan trip, and she basically told me point blank she was one of the people that was ushered all the way down, came all the way out of the building, and then from a distance watched the whole thing collapse. So some corroborating points for me are at least secondhand here. And it's not like, oh, Jew conspiracy. No, I don't think that people like her are ever told, nor do I think they follow the kind of intel networks that are essential. My brother was in the special forces, so I'm a little bit different. So when I tell you that I already heard the reason 20 years ago, I'm not making it up. I'm saying the reason's always been there. I don't know if you've ever heard it. And when I'm telling you that it's all coming to a head now, then you should really start paying attention to the Iranian war. The Iranian war has everything to do with 9/11. It's the end point to the whole dealio. 9/11 was all about warning us about proxy terrorism, faking it so that we'd all have to worry about it, locking up all the airports so that none of those people could actually get in with their existing weapons, which they, believe me, they already had them, because we kept abandoning our bases to these people. So like under Biden, under Obama, so they had the weapons, they could have gotten to America, and we had to lock down the airports. I hated it. I've been going through these airports for decades now, and I hated the TSA. I am so happy that the Homeland Security people, what are they, ICE? I'm so happy that they took over. Wow. This is such a pro-American time. I feel so great to be an American, and I just don't even know if you could possibly understand that from your vantage point in South America. So did that answer your question, or did you have some more questions? Okay, so, right. I know you only want to stay to your safe zones, the place that you're very familiar and you don't want. Well, it is a safe zone. No, that's what it is. So, okay, I don't understand. So let's talk about that now. Your safe zone area. Let's indulge in your theory, right? We got a hypothetical directed energy weapon, some kind of, what do you call it? Cold. Okay, well, I know that they exist. In fact, I already did papers on the Palisades fire and Hawaii and Georgia, and I know that these things were used. So you don't gotta explain to me that they're real or that they're used. Exactly. So as I was saying, cold, I said that, except the hypothetical part, since it's never been declassified or revealed in public in any way, you just know they exist so much. That's fine. I know they exist too, but I don't think they work the same way that you do, so that's just a whole debate in itself. My question is to indulge your point. The real biggest question of all is, you think that this cold DEW but dusted all of the internal structures of the 9/11 buildings and, I don't know, other buildings, whatever, Building 7, I don't care if you think that happened there or not. And the dustification was the cold DEU. The hot DEU may have been used for the bursting to simulate the plane's collision, right? The fire that everyone saw, right? Wait. So, okay. So you're saying that there was no fires at all that day, that nobody saw any fires at all. That's what you're saying, right? I know. I'm talking about, I know. No, you just changed topic. I'm talking fires of the initial explosion of the planes. Those fires. Did anyone see those fires? It's a yes or no question. Okay, so people saw the fires, right? Okay, so I just said that. So a hot version of whatever you want to call it made the fire, and a cold version. I know. I'm asking you how it happens. Are you going to answer the question? How? Plasma? You said plasma. What does that mean? Just define it for me so I can stop getting it wrong according to... You're not ready to debate this, are you? I mean, you're not ready for this debate. You're not ready for this debate at all. I've been asking you a question all day, and you don't have an answer ready. Like, you have to think about it. What caused the explosion? What caused the explosion? Just tell me. Just stop talking about other things and talk about just the plane explosion. What caused it? What was it? A weapon? Okay, so that's a weapon, right? So that's a weapon, right? You're describing. Okay, so the explosion, does that qualify as a DEW, or is it something else? Oh my God. Just answer the question, else or not. Just, is it a DEU or not? You keep debunking me on saying that. Thank you. So that's the first thing I said. I said a hot DEU was used to make the explosion, and a cold DEU was used to dustify the pillars, and you wouldn't say that was right, and now it turns out I am right. And it's just like you're wasting my time. So my point is you actually weren't ready because you didn't think about it through before this debate, and that's really frustrating. I don't really know why we're having a debate when you're not. Okay, fine. So, do you have anything non-manic to say or any kind of tangents you want to take this? Because we're at the end. If you can't explain basic concepts like if it was a hot dew or a cold dew without tangenting and saying something unrelated, like it had nothing to do with the destruction of the buildings. I know, I didn't say that. You're just trying to say as if I said that. It's called a straw man, and it wasted a lot of time, and it's not the first time you wasted it. Okay. All right, so I'm an American. Okay, get used to it. I'm an American, and your shit basically doesn't fly. Good. Yeah, that's right. Okay, good. Yeah. Oh, you have an American ID. What was a passport? Is it what temporary ID? What do you got? Green card? Are you done? Looks like you're done. I could not give a shit. I could not give a shit about seeing that. Why would you? Why would I want to see that? That's right. I'm an American. Does that bother you? It seems to. It seems like you're bothered right now by just that. Because the first time I saw you actually show angry. Oh. So it was the manicness that caused you to have an angry reaction and not the pro-American stuff, right? Even though I said the manicness was the pro-American side. I don't really see a difference there. I'm really, really happy about my country. I'm really happy about how things... I don't know about that. I don't really seem very happy about your country. In fact, I don't even know why you'd compare what you feel to what I feel in that statement at all. You hate your state, and you don't seem to like America very much. I love America. You and I have nothing in common. Nothing. And that's it. That's why you're not qualified to study this topic. No, it's not. No, it's not. As long as it's your call, because I got another half an hour. Your call. I am going to keep jumping up and down in a manic kind of way, and I'm going to keep accusing you of stuff. So do you want to continue? Okay. So, oh, okay. So do you have any topics left? Because it doesn't sound like you have anything. We already covered your theory. We already covered that. So what else do you want to cover? Or do you have more to say? You know, tell me how like there's like an undeniable proof in this failed, case in 2007 that you're so convinced about. You know, the whole problem with that case is that you burned out the chance that anyone could actually go to court for this stuff, and now you throwing the word proof around as if you know what the hell it means. You already failed proof in a courtroom, so obviously you don't mean courtroom case proof, right? You're not talking about that level of proof. That's not what I said. No, I said... No, that's not what I said. No, it's not what I said. You got so angry at me earlier for doing this exact same thing to you. Got so upset when I put words in your mouth. You're doing it to me now? I don't... I'd be happy. No, I'm happy. Happy to answer that. Yeah, I'm... Yeah. Ooh. So I think you missed my point. I mean, I hear what you're saying. It had nothing to do with that, what I said. What I said was very simple. What I said was that too bad for Wood, that she submitted a court case that had such a poison pill in it and was dismissed with prejudice. And it's that problem that burned out. No, it was with prejudice. It was with prejudice. Oh, man. It's a public filing. You can go look it up. I already did all this research. It sounds to me like you're actually misleading your readers on a couple very key points here. It was dismissed with prejudice because there was something in it that was so upsetting that it would have made a mockery of the judge's court. So I don't know why you just don't get this, but American judges, corrupt or not, are basically not going to accept cases like that unless, you know what, you can talk about something that they will accept. And if you talk about DEW, they're not going to accept it. And that's what I mean by burning out the path. So you burned out the path, now we can't do it anymore. So controlled opposition, right? Now, how many times have I seen this happen? Many times. In Georgia, same thing. And guess what? It was about DEWs. It was the same thing again. There was a big fire. The real concern that people have is that they're losing property value. Their houses are turned into high density condominiums, and the voting rolls are changing significantly. And they just want moratorium, you know, just after fires, don't let the corporations in for, 10 years or something. Guess what? It's 6 months. That's what it currently is at. And they have completely lost this battle. They're not going to get a 10-year moratorium on the fire zones no matter what. So we got a petition. This guy wants everyone to sign a petition. He's not talking about moratoriums at all for some reason. I don't know why. He wants the fire chief of some county in Georgia to investigate the use of DEWs. Why? Because there's cars that burned down next to trees that didn't. There's all kinds of weird things with the color blue. There's some undeniable evidence. So what did the judge say? Dismissed with prejudice. And what would have worked? A petition against short-term moratoriums, because that resolves the main concern. You can't really stop people from shooting lasers with you, and you certainly can't get any of the local people to do anything about it. It's way above their heads. So the best thing you can do is not poison pill the existing movement that started long before you showed up, that didn't take money from their efforts like you are doing, and they're a lot more honest than you. Oh, please. I don't know why you're denying that part. Did you say away? No, I didn't say that. I said money from the movement. I'd say away from the movement. That's a weird... Yeah. That's right. No, I think that... No, I basically said something and you twisted it. So what I said was, you take money for your efforts. They don't. That's what I said. Well, the majority, right, the majority of researchers of 9/11 that I've ever spoken to or read from do not take money. You do. Do you have any questions about that? You talking about Gage? You talking about Gage again? Right, so I just predicted that you're gonna do that. Yeah, but here's the problem. Is that I knew you were gonna say that because that was the whole problem with Gage, is that he got betrayed by the federal government right out the gate. They forced him to do a nonprofit, and they said, "Don't worry, you're gonna still be in charge of this." Guess what? It was just a matter of years before the power was taken from him. And all you want to do is say that he took money. Oh, I'm sure that you got your own translation of that. Yeah. That's a hell of a citation. Did you just read from something? Do you got like your notes? So you got like some notes on the side here and you just pulled that citation out kind of thing? Is that what you just did? Yeah, okay. Oh. I knew you had it open. I knew it. See? I knew it. That's awesome. I mean, I can basically predict things you're gonna do in this video. It's really awesome. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I knew you were gonna talk about Gage because Gage took money, right? The whole problem is that 9/11 Truth, that was a controlled opposition movement. Oh. You know what? I've never heard of those people. You know what? I've never heard of them. And what am I worried? And what am I worried about people like you who are doing it for profit? I'm not talking about them. I already said there's a lot. Of course you are. Yes. Well, you take money, so you're doing it for profit. Oh, I think you just gave something away there. My point. You basically proved my point for me. seem just a little manic right now. Just a little manic. I'm glad. I mean, it also might be the nicotine, right? I saw you smoking earlier. No, I don't have a problem with it. I was just wondering if it had something to do with it. Manic behavior. Well, maybe you're not used to Americans. So I'm telling you, you should probably stay out of this because you have no idea what you're talking about. Right? Anything else? Times. I can just filibuster. I can do a filibuster. You want me to filibuster? Okay. So today, I wrote one of the most impressive articles I've ever written. I'm sure you're gonna say it's not impressive, but then your opinion doesn't really matter to me. So, but I'm impressing myself because I'm able to basically trace connections in existing literature, stuff that's provable, stuff that's demonstrable, that people just aren't aware of. And once I point it out, it's just like, huh. So, that's the same as that, and that's connected to that. It's like amazing. So, I just love investigating things. 9/11, I had to go through it because I'm writing a human history timeline, and 9/11 is obviously part of human history, right? So I gotta get the whole reason why it happened, back into ancient medieval times, and the only thing that really brought me to this movement, to this meeting, I should say, the thing that really caught my attention, if you want to know, is that I really never heard much about the DEU version of 9/11, conspiracy theory, because it really doesn't circle much. I mean, it's not you're gonna find it on Telegram, right? But I looked up a statistic, and it turns out that this particular movement that you're part of is the biggest, most divisive, most time wasting and energy wasting and aggravating and upsetting split that this 9/11 community has ever seen. They never saw anything close to this. It was usually them versus the rest of the world. And with you guys, I noticed something very interesting about your theory. Like, it's all about the fact that you're getting past no planes. I mean, this is all about containing no planes. Like, all of this. Like, all the details can be lost in. I thought I had the floor. It was a joke. So, to you it doesn't matter. To me it does. Yeah, I heard you. Yeah, you just said that. So to you the planes are irrelevant, and to me they're relevant, right? So, now, I'm not talking about the same thing you are. You're not paying attention, which is fine. But it's all recorded, so I don't care. I'm talking about your movement. That's all I'm talking about right now. Now, your movement... Right. So, your movement, the one that you aligned with, the one that is basically much faster than I realized, and it respects more or less the global demographic, not necessarily Americans, honestly. That's why I never saw it. Is so huge. It's like basically taking up half the internet. So, that movement is aligned. They're all on the same page, and it's amazing because of all the things that you agree with Gage. I mean, apparently you think that COVID was a hoax, and correct me if I'm wrong. And Gage was kicked out of his truth movement because he said COVID was a hoax. So I really would expect someone like you to be defending Gage. Is there really a huge difference? Okay. I'd love to know what the difference is. Movement, organization. Yeah, I thought it was a movement. Yeah, I know, but it was also a movement. I know, and consequently, he's thrown out of his own movement that he founded. Now, you can say there's no movement associated with the organization, and that's okay. You can say that if you want. But I'm saying that the movement that was associated with the organization, he was thrown out of, and it continues on. That movement continues on without him. So all I'm saying is that you should have defended him. Oh, I know all about that. I know all about that. But that's your interpretation. My interpretation is cut out. He's not being treated fairly by the movement, and it's largely because people like you came in late and sort of ruined everything. So, my point is that basically you should have said something in defense of him. At some point, you should reveal how. Exactly. That's the giveaway here, is that you are not going to defend him even on things that you agree with him on. So, COVID, no planes. You basically agree with him on two of the toughest sells that ever existed on this topic. Americans are still struggling. No, he doesn't believe that the planes caused the demolition. He thinks it was a controlled demolition. So, fine, but I'm saying that he's saying no planes as if the planes didn't bring down the building. And you agree that planes didn't bring down the building either. So no planes to me simply means that no planes brought down the building, not CGI or anything else, just the connection between the original narrative that they brought down the building and reality. So, exactly. And I would expect you to give at least one word somewhere in all of your documentation in praise of him, Gage, for the two things that you think that he stuck strong on. He stuck strong on the fact that there are no planes causing the breakdown of the buildings, and he stuck strong on the fact that COVID is a hoax. But I don't see that from you, so I'm saying that your motivation. I know, exactly. You got extremely narrow motivation for your, let's say, work. Although, like I called you earlier, that's very exactly. So, well, all I'm saying is that most Americans are kind of aware of people like you, control opposition, and so forth. I mean, you're not going to sell anything as long as you admit to these things. So it's just a bad idea. You want to basically come up with a better excuse at some point, saying that your interest to 9/11 and against Gage is coming completely organically and objectively and fairly and honestly. Otherwise, if it's for the money, then right. I'm glad we agree. Just like you. Exactly. It would make a good movie plot, but unfortunately that wasn't what I was saying. I wasn't saying that Gage was not involved in all that. He was certainly puppeteered, and I do believe that he was routed by that 401c3 they created, completely routed. So surely he was put in the chessboard position to rout other people like Wood, and you use that as proof that Wood was routed, and therefore Wood was correct. Great. Great. Just great. Well, here's a good question for you. I mean, why can't all that stuff be totally true and still not used during the actual 9/11 event? Couldn't it all still have been true? Wait. You answer the question. Wait. No. Wait. No. You can't just say go read a book. And that's another thing that fails with Americans. I mean, we don't even think Obama wrote his books. We're not going to read books, okay? You just got to argue this thing on an honest level, street level, eye to eye, whatever. You cannot just say go read a book. So I'm saying, basically, nah, that's not what I'm saying either. No, I really don't agree. I think that most books are compromised. I don't think you can find one that isn't. So you're not going to really go down that route. I mean, I'm talking about all books here. I'm not saying that there's like one or two. Like basically, Lee Iacocca might be a great book, but other than that, like all books are compromised. So no, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that at all. And I'm talking about throughout history too. Go back as far as you want. Burnings, Nazification, denazification. We don't have anything real right now, but you want to trust controlled opposition books as they come out. That's totally fine. My question to you is real simple. All of that stuff that was disclosed in that case might have been true. It is true, actually. I know that stuff's real. I know that stuff could be used to make a utopian society on Earth. That's not what I'm talking about. I asked you point blank, how do you know that it couldn't have been something else on the 9/11 event? You said immediately read a book and look at evidence. That's not the question, though. The question is... Exactly. That's what I said. Yeah, I just said that. Exactly. You just said read a book. Exactly. That's what I said. So, thanks for agreeing. So, the question then finally becomes, let's assume, again, indulging in your theory, that they were using this kind of technology to dustify the inside of the buildings while not having any exterior effects of that same technology on the outside of the buildings and the outside metal and so forth. That is not the question of how or what or whether or not you can find a book to explain it. The question is simply why. If we know that controlled opposition would have been 100% absolute guaranteed result without any possible somebody scanning a laser from the sky with some kind of instrument they happen to have or some shit like that happening, then why wouldn't they go for the Occam Razor approach? I mean, every black ops in history always used Occam Razor as a planning premise, and this is no different. They would have gone with the controlled demolition, which is cheap and easy, and those buildings are designed to fall. They're all designed exactly to do this on their own with dynamite without needing exotic weapons. So the question isn't whether or not you can find a stack of books that suggest or can prove or whatever. The question is, why take the exotic approach in an environment like New York that has so many outliers and just unknowns involved, and just be so confident that everyone will really think that it was a Muslim terror attack by a plane crash? I'm going to ask people if... Whoa, really? Whoa, wait a sec. Hold on. No, hold on a second. You just said something. You just said the first interesting thing so far. Do you actually believe that the 9/11 buildings cannot be controlled demolition at all? Is that what you just said? Okay. All right. Well, I really don't have any more questions. No. Right, exactly. So you want an answer? The answer is because they're destroying the CIA headquarters. I told you this is all about NSA versus CIA. The NSA destroyed the CIA. I just told you that Building 7 was the one they took out. Every other building they tried to be careful about. But 7 they took out because it was the enemy. Do you understand? You're asking me what? Well, I remember reading them about 20 years ago. Wait. But I just did explain it. I gave you the answer before you started this tirade. No, I gave you, but I just gave you, I just gave you the answer. I just gave you the answer. I gave you the answer and you're acting like I didn't, so what's up? I mean, we're all going to analyze this later and I'm just going to point it out in my article. So I just gave the answer. Do you want the answer again? Oh. Okay. Every building that was destroyed on purpose. Building 7 was destroyed on purpose. The 2 towers were destroyed on purpose. And any other building that was destroyed completely was completely destroyed on purpose. The buildings that were not targets were not completely destroyed. And that's the answer to your question. Now you're saying I need to go and do more research. But I just told you, and you agreed, that those other buildings weren't completely destroyed. So we're just talking 2 categories here. The ones that were completely destroyed and the ones that weren't. And I said Building 7 contained the secret. I didn't say that. No, I didn't say it like that. I said 2 categories of buildings. Oh, that's nice, but I brought this... No, I brought this up. You changed it. You can't change the topic and then use that against me. I made a point about Building 7, the CIA headquarters, and you don't want to talk about Building 7 at all, so you're... You see, you just changed the topic again. You don't want to talk about Building 7 at all. Well, what does it matter? Right. So let's say... Right, so let's say a DEW destroyed Building 7, okay? Let's say that's possible. What does it matter? I'm agreeing with you that's potentially a DEW. That's what you're trying to say, isn't it? Just getting ahead of it. What do you mean? What does it have to do with this conversation? Which question? You've said that already. Ah. I'm only here to debunk you. I'm not interested in wood at all. I'm only interested in controlled opposition. That's you. Oh, okay, right. Not you, right? You're the truth. You're the real truth movement, the true, and they're the right. Yeah. And nothing else. Oh. Well, it's quite a story. Maybe they'll make a movie about you someday. Maybe I'll make a... That's nice. Let's just, That's great. Let me just say right now that, I'm not going to read any of the books that you sent me or any of the articles. Fine. I'm also not going to read any conversations that you are having with anyone. Exactly right, and I'm also never going to talk to you again. So this is basically no, 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 not at all. I'm just. That's right. Yeah, I'll let you comment on it. But my point is, this is basically your last chance. Do you want to say anything else? All right. So it sounds like you made the call that we're done now, right? Right. Actually, after you told me that you don't think that the 9/11 buildings, the trade towers, could be controlled demolition at all, I basically feel like I don't have any more questions for you at all. Okay. Okay. Right. Yeah. I really didn't expect that. I really didn't expect that one. I mean, I've seen some of the things you said, but that one, I just did not see coming. All right. Honestly, that's going to be your toughest sell if you ever try to reach Americans. And if you're not trying to reach Americans, I don't even know why you're doing this, because American stuff, it's like our stuff, not your stuff. So keep it up. Good luck, and maybe you'll make more money. That's all I got to say.